Happy Halloween! How ridiculous is that with my hoodie on top of my headphones? I thought maybe that might be a little bit spooky. I was very, very wrong. I hope you have not been spooked out of your socks by all the trick-or-treaters. I think I'll be releasing this video the day before Halloween, actually, so that's a little bit awkward. Well, if you have or haven't yet been spooked, then who knows, maybe you will be by this video, because we're back with Geoff Castellucci, and he has done Grinning Ghosts. I call this, when I received the Patreon request from Juliana, so thank you for this one, I called it the quadruple G, Geoff's Grinning Ghosts. Last year, I was introduced to this song through VoicePlay and their version of it, so that's the version I'm familiar with. I have not listened to it in a fair while. I listened to it just a few times earlier whilst I was working, and it's really catchy. I forgot how catchy it was. Now, I'm not expecting Geoff's version to be similar to VoicePlay. Geoff is Geoff. It's just worth noting that the VoicePlay version is the version I'm familiar with, so it will be my point of reference. Geoff had some very cool parts in the VoicePlay version with that super low voice of his, so I'm expecting some different cool parts in this one.
When hinges creak in doorless chambers, and strange and frightening sounds echo through the halls. Whenever candlelights flicker, where the air is deathly still, that is the time when ghosts are present, practicing their terror with ghoulish delight. There's no turning back now.
What a voice.
When the crypt doors creak and the tombstones quake,
spooks come out for a swing and wake.
happy haunts materialize
And begin to vocalize.
Grinning ghosts come out to socialize. Now don't close your eyes and don't try to hide.
Okay, just a quick couple of things. I was considering pausing for a completely different reason, and then in those 3 or 4 seconds, 2 new things have come up. So firstly, a question for you. The lyrics here are different. Again, I'm not comparing to VoicePlay, but VoicePlay is the version I know. It's just my reference point, so one of the versions has swapped around the lyrics of the verses, I guess, from the original. Musically, he's done something interesting with the rhythms here at the change of verse.
Come out to socialize. Now don't close your eyes and don't try to hide.
It feels a bit more bouncy and slower, because, well, that's exactly what's happening here. It's becoming bouncy because it is now slower. To be exact, this is what we call rhythmic augmentation, where you're basically taking a melody and just making each note longer. Typically, it's through doubling the length, and that's exactly what's happened here. The melody before, 4 clicks, but now, 8 clicks, which in turn allows you to make the melody bouncy. Chum, chum is much easier than going chum, 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 chum. So I think that's interesting. I typically associate bouncy music with something that's really lively or happy, not spooky, basically. So slowing down and then having the bounciness, yeah, interesting. And final point before we carry on, I won't talk about the introduction other than just saying Geoff's voice is built for cinema. Geoff, please start doing films. I'm sure there are many roles for you. But yeah, about the arrangement, I expect many other things to happen, so we'll get to them in a second. The opening harmony, it is similar to the VoicePlay version.
Doors creak and the tombstones quake,
Spooks come out for a swing and wake.
happy haunts materialize.
Here, there's just one particular line that I want to use to try and demonstrate how Geoff is manipulating the song, the melody, the harmony to achieve a very similar effect to someone like me who might be familiar with VoicePlay's version, and achieving an eerie uncanniness similarity to it whilst it is not actually the same. Let's listen to vocalize here in the VoicePlay version.
To vocalize.
There's a line in the middle that's falling, very interesting. And let's see what Geoff does here.
Realize.
And begin to vocalize.
That same line is in there, but it's coming before vocalize now. And begin to a chromatic descent.
Materialize.
And begin to vocalize.
So it's the same harmonic tool, but just used slightly differently, coming now at the beginning as the words are changing rather than at the end on just one vowel sound. Listening to that just made me go, ooh, because the harmony and that chromatic line, which I always listen out for, was still in there, but it was just different. Okay, let's carry on. There are other questions I have, but let's see more of it.
Now don't close your eyes and don't try to hide.
For a silly spook messing by your When grinning ghosts come out. Grinning ghosts come out to social.
As the moon climbs high over the dead oak tree,
Spooks arrive for the midnight spree.
creepy creeps with eerie eyes.
Start to shriek and harmonize.
Grim grinning ghosts come out to socialize.
To social.
Oh, when you hear the knell of a requiem bell,
Those be where spirits dwell.
restless bones etherealize.
Rise of spooks of every size.
Grim grinning ghosts come out to socialize.
Okay, I was just chuckling just as he was chuckling. How much more manly does he sound like than me compared to my Right, we've had our third key change just now. We had the first key change moving up, then the second key change moving up again, and now the third one, we've just gone back to where we started. This is not typical behavior in music, and this is the perfect song, I think, to do something like that in. We started in the same key as the voice play version, which, for the purposes of this, makes it easy for comparison. And then in voice play's version, they get the one key change here.
Center of the room. Oh, when you hear the knell of a requiem bell. When you hear the knell of a requiem bell.
So we can hear that Geoff's is a bit higher, and that's because he's just done one extra key change. Why I'm focusing on this is because in the voice play version, that key change that they have is very strange, I think anyway. Not in a bad way, it's just peculiar and very fitting for this type of song. I even, if I recall correctly, included a little piano snippet of me playing that key change just because it was strange. In Geoff's version here, the key changes are a little bit more natural, and that's simply because there are more of them, so you can just kind of slide up a bit. I like this because we're about halfway through, and we've already had 3 key changes, moving up, and then just back down to the beginning. So net overall, there's been no change. So now as a listener who's very interested in harmony and wondering what might happen, I have no idea what's going to happen, right? Is he going to go down? Is he going to go up? Is he going to stay the same? I guess to be dramatic, we could say it's a little bit unsettling for me because I'm entering very unfamiliar territory. Even more unsettling and spooky because I'm very familiar with the voice play arrangement. I should talk about the elephant in the room, or rather the busts in the room here. Very cool effects, you know, with Kathy coming in, and I'm not quite sure who this is, but the set as well, amazing. To be expected with Geoff videos, especially cool in this one. Do I recognize it from somewhere? Ding dong, I know you. Another element of this that I am somewhat familiar with, but it's different, it's changed. How uncanny. Anyway, the busts are very cool. The faces, let me find a bit with them all singing. Oh, hello, Ellie. These are Geoff's face, right? A weird kind of warped version of his face, especially this one in the middle. I know in the voice play Grinning Ghosts, I was told by many of you that what they did is they filmed it at a slower speed, so listening to the music and mouthing along at a slower speed, and then it's sped up into real time, so it looks a bit jittery. I am wondering if something similar has been done here. I don't know, it's just the effect of the faces, so that would be cool to learn about afterwards. In the comments, if you know, please let me know.
As the moon climbs high over the dead oak.
Cut off the end of the word socialize there, which might bug some people, doesn't bug me.
As the moon climbs high over the dead oak tree.
And now we're back to the original speed. It's no longer rhythmically augmented. The melody is not twice as slow. We're back to normal. And now we're getting more instruments coming in the background that are just giving it more of an energetic feel.
Spooks arrive for the midnight spree.
What is that? A xylophone or something similar?
Start to shriek and harmonize.
Very nice little harmonic surprise on, of course, the word harmonize.
The ghosts come out to socialize.
Yeah, I think we could and we should expect a lot of the extreme lows from Geoff. I'm not going to point them out because they're obvious and very, very cool.
When you hear the knell of a requiem bell,
Those be where spirits dwell.
restless bones ethereal.
I love how we get the bell coming in on the Requiem bell bit along with the key change. One of the first things I pointed out was the lyrics change, at least that's what I noticed. So now in the back of my head, I'm thinking, oh, what order the verse is going to come? I don't really remember them by heart, to be honest, but we're getting lyric painting on top of that. There's a lot going on here. It's visually stimulating, musically stimulating, lyrically, well, different, I guess. And to top it all off, it's just so well done. A little bit spooky even, like when Kathy came in with those eyes screaming. Yeah, let's carry on. Let's see what else is in store. Oh, there was one last thing. With most songs, or a cappella songs especially, typically after I listen to them X number of times, I have a favorite moment. And it could just be one line just for a few seconds. I was listening out for that moment in this. And again, I'm really trying not to just reference voice play all the time because this is a separate Geoff arrangement, but it's just the reference point I know. And it's a really fun arrangement. It's Earl Elkins Jr.'s line on They Pretend to Terrorize.
They pretend to terrorize.
Oh, luscious chords. In Geoff's version, I was just naturally singing that part in my head along with it. And the first half kind of works, but then it would just cause disgusting, really not nice dissonance if it were to carry on.
Guys,
They pretend to terrorize.
Grinning Ghosts come out to socialize.
Is that important at all? Absolutely not. Is that beneficial to you as a listener? Most probably not, but that was what was going on in my head, so I'm including it. Okay, let's carry on.
Grinning Ghosts come out. Grinning Ghosts come out to
When the
socialize.
creek doors creak and the tombstones quake, spooks come for a swinging wake.
Happy hearts materialize and begin to vocalize. Grinning Ghosts come out to socialize.
Grinning Ghosts come out to socialize.
Right, well, that last section that we heard a minute or so, a lot going on, crazy, unexpected harmonic changes. Also, fundamentally, the rhythms have changed. Not like before where everything was just doubled in length. No, no, no. Now, we've had a change. If you've seen my videos before, you've probably heard me use the term compound time. So I'll play from before the change, and rhythmically, we're just thinking bum, bum, bum. They're the main beats, and each main beat you can split into two smaller beats. Dum, bum, 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 bum.
Grinning Ghosts come out to
When the
socialize.
creek doors creak and the tombstones quake.
Now, very clearly, we have changed from this idea of 1 2 1 2 to 1 2 3 1 2 3. This would be compound time if chum chum was a main beat, which is subdivided into 3 smaller beats, 1 2 3 1 2 3. But personally, I would actually call this a waltz, so it's just 3 main beats now, 1 2 3. And what does Geoff include later on? Him and Kathy, I believe, are doing a waltz around. So now we're suddenly in this waltz territory. We had Lane coming in with his violin. I like how the voice play guys are coming in as ghosts. I'm sure a reason for this change, one is just to make it a little bit different. His version is longer. It's about 4 minutes long. So naturally, with a longer piece of music, you might be looking at other ways to get some variety or some difference in there. Changing the rhythms is one. He's made things longer in the same rhythmic fundamentals, thinking in 2s, and now he's actually changed the meter completely into thinking in 3s. You can change the arrangement, the instruments we're hearing. We're hearing a huge range of things. Again, I'd love to know how many layers are in this because I imagine it's a lot. If you enjoy these videos or find them helpful, please consider supporting me. Patreon has a bunch of exclusive benefits, behind the scenes videos, additional reaction content, Q&A videos, and more. For a one-time donation, you can donate me a hot chocolate at the Buy Me a Coffee link, or become a YouTube member for these groovy emojis and membership badges. And a huge thank you to these lovely people on the screen now. And he's making really peculiar harmonic shifts that there are just too many to go into, to be honest. I think they are doubly effective here because of the meter change as well, the time change. Everything is just different. It's all just, there's no words. Everything's becoming a bit creepy, and maybe at this point we're starting to question our sanity.
Grinning ghosts come out to social.
The busts here, their chords are very juicy. Some real nice dissonances in there. Direct note clashes like we're hearing at the same time right next to each other. That's actually the melody. How to socialize falling down. And I believe we also have, just that in there as well. Listen to that on how to socialize.
How to
And that's where we paused, and now the rhythms have changed back to thinking 1 2 1 2. The highlight though of unexpectedness has to be
Ghosts come out to socialize.
And then the menacing laugh. We suddenly switch to the major. What's happening? Why is the music happy? Menacing laugh, and then into this really eerie section. With some really peculiar harmonic shifts and everything. Whew, a lot going on in this one. Really cool. Let's carry on with the final minute or so.
There's a simple rule that's compulsory. Mortals pay a token fee. Rest in peace, the haunting's free. So hurry back, we would like your company.
Sorry. Oof. The wind that we can hear at the end has given me a shiver. I'm feeling ever so chilly. Maybe I've been spooked. Okay, so before I forget, hurry back. These hurry backs. I love this inclusion. I've already pointed out that this set is the same as from, I can't remember if I actually said what it was from, but it was from Voice Play's Hide and Seek, Ding Dong. Well, let's have a look at the end of that one. So that's a nice little homage, especially as we have the set here. And then the other thing is when I kind of went back 5 seconds.
So hurry back, we would like your company.
We're being teased here. The highlight for me, or at least the moment that was so surprising, that major uplifting moment, he's put in the major third amongst the minor chord here. So in simpler terms, we have this, and then the minor chord, which is the key of the song. What makes a chord minor is the third note. If you shift it up and have the other 2 notes the same, then it's a major chord. Minor, major. He quickly put in the major third as well, so we're hearing and then let it go. And that is kind of the end, descending into that last chord. There is a practice where minor or sadder bits of music finish on a happy major chord, which is called a tierce de picardie, or a Picardy third, as more people probably know it. So I thought that might have been happening, but no, immediately gone. We are definitely finishing this in the minor sad. And I really like the predominantly a cappella homophonic.
There's a simple rule that's compulsory.
Such a tight sound, and then coming just before the final ending. Really nice. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. Very spooky all round, high production value. No surprise there, kind of to be expected. For me, I think the words of the day were familiar or unfamiliar and uncanny. The set, having seen it somewhere else before, and then putting a little reference to it at the end. The arrangement as well, similar to voice play in many ways, but some subtle differences, other huge differences. Having the voice play guys appear in there. Clearly a lot of thought has gone into this one, and I really like the arrangement as well. Thank you very much for watching. If you made it this far, would appreciate a like. Comments really help with the algorithm. If you don't want to write any words, obviously we're going to go with a ghost and a pumpkin for Halloween. Hope to see some spooky comments with those emojis in there, and I will see you in the next one.